Welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pen Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome back to the Pen Leader Podcast. Today, I am excited to talk about effective team building. This is a subject area that many leaders struggle with, and I have one individual with us today that has effectively done this consistently over a number of years. Coach Tricia Cullop was named University of Miami women's basketball coach in April 2024, and she comes in 16 seasons, head coach of the University of Toledo. She has the record of being the winningest coach of Toledo. She is a respected leader in college basketball in so many coaching circles. Earned MAC Coach of the Year. She's actually had Time MAC Coach of the Year, the 2008 Missouri Valley Coach of the Year. She's had 2 MAC tournament titles. She's a 2-time WBCA president. And, you know, her career record's amazing. 24 seasons of coaching, including her assistant coaching and her head coaching. And now, of course, she is in a wonderful place in Miami as the head coach. I'd like to welcome Coach Tricia Cullop. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. And so I'm going to get to some questions that don't have to do with the court, but about your passions and where your passions lie.
Yeah, I think, helping people, that's always been something that is very gratifying for me, is helping people achieve things that they maybe didn't believe they could do or really wanted to but needed help to do. That has been the most gratifying thing of being a coach. And helping prepare people for life beyond basketball, because our sport does that. And that is a very fulfilling part of being a college basketball coach.
I was going to say, because you've had so many wins, your teams brought so much attention actually to the sport. What is your most prized accomplishment at this point?
I think my most prized accomplishment would be seeing our student athletes succeed after college. I love following what they're doing well beyond their years of being a college basketball coach, being a great parent, succeeding in their field. We still have former players that are playing professionally. I whether they're a professional basketball player or a professional in medicine or teaching or whatever their field they chose, I think for me, seeing them succeed and hearing them say, hey, thank you so much for teaching me these few things, because I still carry them with me today. That is very gratifying and fulfilling.
Can you talk to how you've done that and really the qualities you look for when you're trying to build a great team?
Well, I think first it starts with people and who you choose to be around you. As a leader and as a coach, I can't do this all by myself. So I think it first starts with the staff. I have to find like-minded people that don't think exactly like me? And when I say that, I mean character-wise. Mm-hmm. That they work hard, that they're very driven, that they have strong character, that they are really people first. They care about the person more than the basketball player. Because I'm going to be on the road recruiting, I'm going to be doing other things, and I can't always be exactly where I want to be, but I can certainly surround myself by people who are going to push not only my players to reach their goals, inspire me in areas that maybe I need to grow. And so surrounding myself amazing people is number one. And I'll be honest, I start with, are they a great person first before are they a great basketball coach? And then when we look at the team, when we're actually building the members of the team, we look at 3 things. First is, are they a great athlete? I'm out on the recruiting venue staring down courts, and I would lie if I didn't tell you the first thing I notice is, can they help us? And not only can they play for us, but can they help us win a championship? Mm-hmm. We're looking for that litmus test. But then we dig deeper and we say, are they do they have a great attitude? Are they coachable? Are they a great teammate? How are they in an adverse situation? Are they someone that we're going to enjoy being around? Because we're not going to always be in sunshine. Mm-hmm. We are sometimes going to go through some tough moments. And are they going to be somebody we're going to enjoy those moments with? It doesn't mean perfect, but are they mature enough to handle tough? And then the third thing is, are they someone academically that prioritizes that in their life? Because I'll be honest, I don't want to chase you to class. I want self-motivated people who understand that at some time the basketball is going to stop bouncing and the academic, what we're doing matters. And, we try to go even beyond that in that we try all of our student athletes up with a mentor in their field of study because we want them very equipped when they walk out the door to not only have a degree, but to have people who can help open doors for them that have solidified that this is the choice that they want because maybe they have job shadowed them or internship, but also those people that are not just names on a paper, but actual references that know them well enough to pick up the phone and say, you should hire this person. The three things we look for: athleticism, attitude, and academic.
Again, you're drawn to the player and their skill sets first because you hear about them, you go out and you look for them. And this attitude that you're talking about. And what do you think about, you have a number of leaders that you've gathered up on one team? Because sometimes, not everybody can be number one, right? So how do you manage that?
Well, and I'll give you an example of it. So this summer, we just assembled, we have a lot of new people on this team. And so we're not trying to pick leaders right now. What I said to them is, hey, we're going to work really hard this summer. We're going to go through all these workouts. And at the end of the summer, we're going to vote on captains because you guys need to be around each other and you need to go through good and bad together before you decide who you want to lead you. I don't think it's good to pick them and force it upon people. I think it evolves. When you're saying you're a team captain, that's an earned position. And so we ask our players to stand up and they're going to have to tell the team why they think that they deserve it, why they want it, and then the team will vote. I've never voted as a coach for a team captain. Our players because I don't want to pick someone they won't follow. But I will say, they know who they're picking, and I've always been proud of who they picked. But I think that stems from we're very careful who we recruit. We do know people who are going to lead people the wrong direction. So we know we already have a collection of leaders when we get to this point. And now it's simply, who do they feel at this moment are the strongest leaders, and they will become the captains. But then when we have practices, we have a practice every day, and that will be a different person every day that circulates through the team. Even our freshmen will be a practice captain of the day. And that gives them an opportunity to start molding their leadership, molding what kind of teammate they are, molding their voice, developing their voice. It's hard when you're a freshman to speak in a room that has seniors. And in this era, fifth-year seniors because of COVID. So, think about it. Walking into a room with people who are older than you and having to lead. But if we give them the floor, we give them opportunities, and we stand back and let them make some mistakes, but also succeed, sometimes I'm surprised in a good way, and sometimes I'm like, okay, we got some work to do there. You still have to give them that room to grow.
And as you look at your assistant coaches, as you build your own team to help lead this team, right, to get them ready, are the qualities the same? What are you looking for when you're looking at those that are potentially down the road become head coaches themselves?
Right. Like I said, first thing is character. I want great people around me, people that I'm going to really enjoy, but also have strong values, strong core values that are just quality through and through. And, I don't have to worry about them being tempted to make a terrible decision. I just know they're going to make great decisions, even if they're hard ones. That is the number one quality I look for. Number two, do they work hard? I want people around me who I don't have to chase down to do a great job. I want them to be very motivated because they care about the quality of work that they do. When we give them a task, they're going to run through the wall and do more than the average person. And then, are they driven? I want to win a championship here. I don't want to just be the coach here. So are they driven to do great work? And that comes with the work ethic, but are they really passionate about it? And are they consistent? I don't want someone who works hard on Monday, but on Tuesday and Wednesday don't. I want people who are very consistent with their attitude. They're fun to be around every single day. They bring positive energy. I'm not a big fan of energy vampires. In fact, we joke, it's actually in our team rules, no energy vampires allowed. We want positive energy. We want great communicators. I always joke with our team and staff that I was a communication major. And so unfortunately, that's something that I'm a nitpicker at. On the court, we have to talk loud enough that everybody knows what we're doing, but also calls out screens, that talks about matchups. And I tell them, you can be shy off the court, but on the court, you must be loud, and uncomfortably loud at times, because we're going to play in venues where there are a lot of fans. And, even if it's off the court, let's say something comes up. You have an appointment at 2, but you unfortunately got hurt and our trainer wants you to do rehab that's going to run over. Just being intelligent enough and mature enough to call us and say, hey, coach, something came up. Is this okay? Instead of letting the ball drop. I think it's important with everyone that we be mature with our communication, that we always put a positive light on our program, that people enjoy working with my staff, because when they need something from us, we're very responsive, and that we work ahead, and then we work with other people in the department in a very classy way. I want the opponents in our league to hate playing against us, because we're so ruthless in how hard we play. But I want them to also say, what a class act, whether we win or lose. Yeah. And I think that is a great standard of excellence, in that we do things the right way, but we are very aggressive in how we play, to a point where it's not fun to play us, but it's certainly, you have respect for us when we're done. And so that's a lot of things kind of looped into one. But, I want truthful people, honest people. I want people that if they make a mistake, they say, you know what, coach, I made a mistake, and here's what happened, and we move on. We don't dwell on our mistakes. I want that of our players and our staff, because we're all going to make them. But how quickly we bounce back from that is really, really important. And how quickly we learn from it so we don't repeat it is really important. So that's a lot of stuff bundled up, but that's a lot of the core values and things that are important to me.
When you talk about this, and I was sharing with you offline why I believe you're one of my top 3 leaders that I've come across, interacted with, had the pleasure of knowing. And the biggest variable in there that I've seen with you, Coach, is your consistency. What you see on the court is what I interacted with off the court. And your players, your past players, they talk highly of you. And what you tell them and how you mold them carried even into the classrooms when I was teaching some of them at the college level. And so I see consistency. You mentioned the word consistency. And on earlier podcasts, I've talked about that vampiric. You and I are like-minded that way, that energy vampire. And you spend so much energy trying to get them on board with what you're attempting to do that it sucks the life out of the whole team. And so once you identify them, you have to either one, try your best to get them to turn the ship around. But if you cannot, it's not the right fit for your team.
I wholeheartedly agree. And that's why, we laugh that as recruiters, we're almost CSI agents. It's not just about talking to the student athlete. It's about talking to the parents. I watch how they interact with their parents. I watch how they interact with their coaches. Do they roll their eyes? Do they have bad body language when things are going wrong? How do they treat their teammate when their teammate drops a pass that they made that should have been a score? How do they handle an injury when they have one? I want maturity. I want work ethic. I want class in everything. But I also want somebody that, even if they didn't score 20, makes their teammates better. And has, we call it a motor, that has a great motor when they're on the floor, that, man, they just play hard. And that's without someone trying to inspire them all the time. They just have that inner spark that is elite. And when you have those things and you get a collection of people like that, it's really amazing what you can do. And I've been on teams that we didn't recruit the All-Americans, but yet we beat All-Americans. And I think that comes from finding the right fit of people who are very driven, that aren't caught up in name and status, but really care about our team. And I really tell people this a lot. If you have a family atmosphere, if you have amazing chemistry, and that's really what we work hard to build. We want a family that if you choose us, that it's not a 4-year decision or a 2-year if you transferred here. It is a lifetime decision. We treat our program like a sorority. Once you join, you're always in, you're stuck with us. But it's so we can help you. I have players that graduated a decade ago that still call me for references or for advice. And I'm always going to answer that phone because I promised them that. And I feel very good about helping them, and I want to see them succeed. But I also want them to mentor my current players. And I don't care where they played for me at. I want them to help because we're one big family. I think chemistry and I think family, that atmosphere is worth 10 to 15 points on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Because when things get tough, you fight for your family. But when things get tough and you don't get along, that's when you find reasons to give up.
Mm-hmm. I think worse than that sometimes is, where do I put the blame instead of owning the situation and saying, I may not have done my part. Well, if you're not, you're just kind of deflected and you put it on somebody else that you somehow are holding a grudge. That's another thing too, is dispelling those. Move on, get moving, get to task. And this brings me to my next question is, how would you rank? This is the Pin Leader podcast, and we have strength of being able to weather challenges, and straight on staying the course for strategic planning, but being able to pivot, and then sharpness of having the education experience to lead. Out of those three, which one do you find how would you rank them in priority?
I think whichever one leads to emotional maturity, I think is really big. Yeah. I think that one, it might be number one for me, because if you don't have that emotional maturity, and a dear friend of both of ours, Dr. Clint Longnecker, and I talked about this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that having that emotional maturity to handle a lot of different situations goes a lot further for you than your talent, because I've watched a lot of people be extremely talented, but yet they get distracted by things that are a bump in the road that are nothing to someone who's emotionally mature. And so, for me, I think that is number one. And then your other two, having the talent and the ability is really important. But what was your third one?
Well, I think the weathering the challenges, which you might have rolled that right in there.
Yeah, I may have combined. So I'm cheating. I'm combining
It's okay.
I'm combining your elements. In coach speak, I would say, for me, weathering challenges and emotional maturity and staying on the task, those two probably for me would rank similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I absolutely think you need that. I think talent is behind that, and the ability to do things is behind that. And you still have to hone that. If you can't weather challenges and you're not mature enough to handle things that come your way, I just don't see people succeeding. I see examples of it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It gets the roadblocks get in their way. They make their own roadblocks by how they manage it. I totally agree.
Well, and I would also say with that, being able to relate to people who are different than you kind of falls in that same category. Mm-hmm. Can you communicate with people who are different than you? Can you understand? Do you get to know them well enough to know how to motivate them? Some people don't take the time if someone's different. You and I know a great example of this with Nama Shafir.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Israeli kid that we recruited when I was at Toledo that was an Orthodox Jewish kid. And what a great story, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of universities passed on her because of her religious beliefs and the obstacles in going through a normal calendar basketball year with her, because there were going to be times she had to fast. There were every weekend she had to observe, her religious beliefs were that Friday sundown through Saturday sundown, she couldn't be in a motorized vehicle or use electricity. And a lot of people said, wow, that's a lot. I'm not going to do that. Not taking the time to get to know her or her family and realize not only is she the most talented person, one of the most I've ever coached, but one of the greatest people I've ever coached. Mm-hmm. And all those things were very minor in scheduling and doing, when you really thought, gosh, but we get this. Mm-hmm. Amazing person who's a fantastic leader, who's very humble, who also scored 40 versus USC when we won the NIT in a sold-out crowd in Toledo. Mm-hmm. They passed on that because they saw obstacles, where we saw an amazing person. And as I dug deeper, I'm like, I hope she plays for us, because what a great person, in addition to the incredible talent that she is and continues to be. Mm-hmm. And wow, what a disciplined person on and off the court. But also, I think what we all learned, and she taught us so much, was, wow, if we embrace who she is, even though it might be different than what we would do, we just gained what a great leader, a great person, a great friend. that we would have missed out on had we judged the outer shell. It was different than what anything we'd ever been exposed to. I'm so glad in my first few years there that I learned some great lessons from her that I still carry with me.
I have one last question, and now you're settled and in Miami. What are you reading? What are you watching when you have downtime? I don't even know if you have downtime. What are you reading or what are you watching?
I'll be honest. I had a lot of time to do some of the things that I love to do in my off time, simply because I had to sell a house, buy a house, transition between temporary home to here, and then redo a whole different. We are chasing down recruits not only for. I'm getting to know my current team. I'm recruiting the next class, but 2 classes after that as well. And, I've been traveling a lot. I've been trying to get to know this area. I've been trying to get to know my staff that I have, building bonds and relationships with the people who are going to matter most to my life here, while trying to maintain great relationships that I built in Toledo with people that were my friends and will always be people that help guide my life, because I really value them and what they bring to my life. And so, I would say that when I have a chance, I love to read. I love to watch things that can inspire me to help inspire our team. But as of since the beginning of April, I've not had a chance to probably dive deeper. But right now I'm studying people and trying to make sure that I'm the best version of myself for them.
Excellent. And with that said, I can't thank you enough for bringing the pearls of wisdom on your experiences that you've had through these 24 years of coaching, both assistant coaching, but also being a leader, not only in the court, but off the court, and helping our women grow into these positions that are making a difference. I can't thank you enough, Coach.
Well, number one, thank you for being someone at Toledo that I really enjoyed being around and inspired me to be better. But I was so inspired by my high school coach, my college coaches, my teammates, my current staff here, that I've continually been surrounded by amazing people who keep me on the right path to doing the things that I love. And for that, I'm grateful. But thank you so much for giving me an opportunity today to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And for our listeners, thank you for getting a hold of this podcast and sharing it with others. We appreciate you as well. And any feedback you might have for us, please make sure to send it to info@Mays Associates Ltd. And until next time.
The Pen Leader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Mays Associates Ltd., creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader podcast and share with others.